Today I'm going to be talking about how to knit a heel flap when you're making a sock on 9-inch circulars. So I love knitting socks on 9-inch circulars. You just knit around and around like I'm doing right now, and there's no joins to worry about. But the heel flap is what gets people a little tricked up. And so I'm going to talk about that today. I'm not going to be showing you how to knit the entire heel flap. You'll want to follow your pattern. I'm just giving you a rough idea about how to do it. If you're feeling confused about how to knit around and around a circle, it's exactly the same as working on a hat on something larger like a 16-inch circular. And if you haven't completed one project like a cowl or a hat or something like that on a larger circular needle, then you're probably not ready to do socks on a 9-inch yet. But if you've done something like a hat or a cowl, then you're definitely ready because it's not so bad. So you can see I've been knitting around and around and around and around, and that's how you would do the cuff, just around and around and around. Now, for the heel flap, you're actually going to work the entire thing on this needle. And I know that gets really hard for people to picture, but it's not so tricky. So what you're going to do is just turn. You know, I've knit the first row of my heel flap, and I'm just going to turn and follow the instructions for going the other way. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do my yarn stuck, the entire heel flap because no one wants to watch me for an hour do that. I'm just showing you the basics. So you're going to turn and you're going to knit the other way. And I'm only going to do a very tiny little sample here. Obviously, you'd be going back and forth probably about 32 stitches. And now I'm just leaving the remainder of the stitches unworked. That's not part of my heel flap. And then I just keep going. So the trick to working a heel flap and the gusset on a 9-inch circular is leaving the remaining stitches unworked. You just don't touch them, you pretend that they're not there. So here I'm working a very tiny heel flap. Oops, I didn't actually purl that stitch. Like I said, yours would be something in the order of probably 30, 32, 34 stitches. I'm just going back and forth on 6 little stitches here. So super quick, you can see how I'm getting a little flap happening. I'll show you at the end of this miniature row. I'm only working the stitches that are on the heel flap. Sorry, my yarn, I wound my ball very tight and my yarn isn't pulling easily. As you can probably tell, working on 9 inches is a little more fiddly than working on bigger needles, but I think the positives are worth it. So here you go. I have my very tiny miniature little flap here. And so all the rest of the stitches have just been hanging out. You don't have to worry about them. And this is your heel flap. Now when you've done the number of rows that you're instructed to do and you turn your heel, you're then going to have to pick up stitches and keep knitting. So I'm just going to show you again on our super miniature model. Here you go. I'm picking up and knitting the stitches. No problemo. Let me get into the right stitch. Picking up and knitting, just going down on the side, and then I would keep knitting on the rest of my sock. And there you go. You can sort of picture there. See, that's like a very miniature heel. And you would all just keep doing that on the same 9-inch circular needle. So that's a very quick approximation of how you would knit a heel flap using 9-inch circulars and not needing to put any stitches on a stitch holder. Hope you enjoyed it.